My best quality is my unwavering allegiance to myself. I know who I am. If you don't or you can't figure it out,
Tiny me. I can never get it right. Good morning. Hello. How is everybody? Woo! Well, happy birthday, random old lady. Love it. Free the toots. All right, you're going to see a bit of a disco ball behind me. If this is bothersome to anybody, please let me know. But this is the situation on the ground here at Andy Copsa Central. Where is she? Can you see her? Where is she? I don't want to disturb her too much because we're hanging on by a thread. Okay. Now I'm paying too much attention to her. Hot crap. This is bad, you guys. Good morning. Just Jamie Fig. How are you doing? Good morning. ATS is here. Oh, yes. Thank you. Love my shirt. Well, this is from when I was actually doing the journalism, when I would travel abroad to go and actually investigate on boots on the ground from Cameroon. But what do I know? What do I know? I'm just some old bag drifting in the winds. Yeah. So it was from a conference in Yaoundé, Cameroon, about illegal detentions, etc. And it was good. But anyway, thank you. I don't mean to, but did you cover chocolate bacon though? Look, I'm not gonna hate. I'm gonna congratulate because me love me some bacon with chocolate. And Kelly I would like to blame you for bringing this bullshit to my attention because wow, does he misstate? He doesn't even give you the law. So we're going to go through it a little bit. And I'm not a lawyer, not. But what I can tell you is this ninny, this Mr. Matthias, I was actually stunned by how how dismissive it was. And so realistically, it was just I don't think my audience, whatever that is, when I was writing, like my thing is that everybody that ever taught me how to do journalism and write and do these things is you have to really trust your audience. You're not that they're not stupid, right? They're not dumb. They're going to be able to absorb all parts of whatever argument you're trying to make. But the one-sided nature of all of this and the idea that the FOUR is the actual law is wrong. It's not true. You got to look it up. That's not the stock. It's in the notes. So anyway, we'll get there, but man, I'm like, bitch, we have to be careful about how we use the tools of the law. So I provided a link to the actual 2019 revised statute for stalking, criminal. Now you got to keep in mind, we got criminal and we have civil. John suggesting in what I'm going to play you that this should be a criminal situation with Christina. And, he gets everything wrong. He gets it all wrong. And I would encourage him, go ahead, go get yourself a solicitor. Do it. So I don't know where to start. So, I mean, I'm not sure what's worse. Well, I'm kind of in the earn. Oh, okay. So what I want to talk about. Yes, absolutely. Put your little, if you have a toots, put a little toots in the chat. If not, put like a little hey. So anyway, this is rough, and it really really I didn't realize how much John Matthias devalues actual victims of stalking, and how he weaponizes a law. He doesn't. It's not even a law. How he weaponizes a guidance document to women's shelters and things. His conflation is dangerous, in my opinion. But again, not a lawyer, not here to give you legal advice. I'm just not. But what I am here to say is that he's wrong on the law. He's wrong on the law, just like he's wrong on Richard Allen and all of this other bullshit. And I hate it. I swear to God, Kat. Oh, God. So here's what we're going to do, because this one's going to give me a nightmare. I'm going to play. Somebody sent me a compilation of some of the greatest hits. Let me see if I can pull them up. And so I'm going to put this on so you guys can watch it. And then I'm going to go through this cat in the closet. Now, when I say that, she has a little nest in the closet. So it's not like I'm throwing her in the closet. Hang on, baby. Oh, my God. So let me see if I can just pull this up. I'm going to share my screen. Hang on, baby. Ugh. Okay. Oh, well, we're going to let this play. So, it's so bad. It makes me uncomfortable. So, again, this was sent to me, a compilation of, there's two. So I have two of them. But let me play this through, and then I'm going to put the cat somewhere where she's comfortable. So please drop your questions or anything else in the comments, because I think that this is, to me, this is really, this kind of shit has to stop. So anyway, let me know when you can hear this nonsense, and then we will go through
to reflecting on a lot of the evaluations I've done over the years, and all of the victims on the other side of every crime I've assessed. And I think I was experiencing some sorrow. One of the things Laura knows about me is that when I'm experiencing some sadness or some sorrow, and oftentimes that's a good place for me to go and write. So I began working on a blog post as a tribute to our son, Banks. And in my grieving over all the victims I've worked with over the years, I actually, in fact, one of the most committed patients I've ever worked with was a borderline personality disorder patient. And she struggled. It was a long, difficult process, but in the end, she did change. I've been studying Hitler a little bit recently because I've really avoided it.
Trigger warning. He's going to talk about Hitler. Sorry. Cat, hang on. Because of course he's going to.
For forensic psychologists, it's kind of like the Mount Everest of pathology. You don't really want to climb Everest unless you have to. But if you're willing to, it's the view is great, and it's a great challenge, and you're probably going to learn a lot. But so probably, I mentioned Hitler a little bit, and I was kind of making some comparisons to Daybell. I mean, it's a really loose comparison, by the way. I don't see Daybell at that level, but one of the most distinguishing features about Hitler was he had a messiah complex. That Hitler thought he was chosen to restore Germany to greatness, and he believed he was the only one that could do that. So it was a delusion that was bordered. It wasn't just grandiosity; it bordered on religious. the religious, right? It was.
So I got to stop this for a minute because
the Messiah and Chad.
So here's the thing. Somebody needs to bone up on their history, because anybody that is a student of history or took a civics class knows that there was no Messiah complex. It was leveraged. There was a religion that was leveraged. He did not think he was a Messiah. He was a genocidal maniac. So you're trying to conflate the racist, deeply disgusting mind of a man who crafted the eugenics that resulted in millions of Jews' deaths in and others with Chad Daybell is a stretch, and it means you don't know actually what you're talking about. I can't. This is such bullshit. This is like low-hanging fruit shit. This is just low-hanging fruit shit to me, right? I can't. So thank you, whoever fucking sent me this, because this is nonsense.
Certainly has some of that, right? And maybe to a lesser degree, Lori, because Chad convinced me. It's a common theme in murderers. Actually, I would argue that I've seen that with sex offenders too.
Okay, lots of sex offender talk.
At this point, if you're a little skittish about talking about sex offenders, but
so trigger warning.
Trigger warning, yeah. But I've sat in front of a lot of pedophiles, and they've told me, we tend to think that pedophiles are attracted to kids sexually, and that's true. There is some hard wiring in the brain that suggests that they are. But I've heard time and time again from a number of pedophiles that it has nothing to do with sex. It's about taking the innocence away from a child.
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm going to need to see all of your work with all of these pedophiles, because to me, what we went through yesterday, I can't find you, sir. The way that these two have branded themselves and positioned themselves is, in my opinion, just an absolute travesty. And I mean, I'm not saying that to be hyperbolic either. This is insane. This is insanity. And this is gross. I mean, the thing is that I did, and again, sorry to bring my experience into it reporting, but I did a series called The Boy on the Bus, and it was about a goddamn sex offender. And I rode the school bus with him, and I did a protracted, very long series that was funded by American University and the investigative fund at American University to track sexual offenders as they move freely about the kingdom, right? What I can tell you from the reporter's point of view, and from having sat down and talked to this idiot this pedophile that I actually, when he was in the Tama County Jail in Iowa, look, stop it. You need to show where you have any competency in this area to talk about it like this. I mean, the triggering nature of this kind of chat, this kind of blithe, sort of like, yes, well, and I've talked to so many PDF files and blah, blah, blah. This is gross. This is really bad. And the thing is that I'm not, it's, I don't know. Am I blowing this up? Am I making too much out of it? I just don't feel like I am.
And so if you take a middle-aged man like Chad Daybell, and that person defiles a child.
Okay. Stop it. Right? And this goes out to Trisha. If you've got people in the audience or Grayson or whoever the hell you are, I don't ever want to hear these people. Now this is old, so keep that in mind. Looks like it's from way back in the day. I don't know what the dates are on this, but this looks like something from back when this was all going on. But listening to this now, knowing how the families have told us how badly John and Lauren burned them is hard to digest. It's hard to digest. It's gross. Right. I mean, the thing is that Kelly Cal, yeah, and it, God, it just feels like that, doesn't it? Oh, oh no. And the thing is that, man, oh man, this guy loves to hear himself talk. Loves it. Loves it. No, there was no, I mean, he's trying to, again, it's this act of conflating a bunch of bullshit. The other thing that I was thinking about, just as a side note, and I've got to write this down, is that to become a certified examiner, you, in that test that I was talking about, state of Nevada requires, you have to, so it bridges a gap between what the courts expect. So there's some legal knowledge of what must be contained in these, whether it's PSIs or, any sort of pretrial assessments. You can't just go in there and spitball. I mean, there's actually, and this is the other thing. I'm like, it's just not making sense. None of this is making sense unless he was retained in a private practice kind of way. But again, I don't see any evidence of him ever being a vendor. So to me, it's just like, anyway, back to Trisha and these two. Stop. Don't do this anymore. Please don't do this anymore.
In some ways, I would argue that what they're trying to do is they're trying to reclaim their youth.
No.
They're trying to recapture their innocence. In a lot of risk assessments or psychological evaluations I do.
Nope. Hang on. Here's the thing. I'm going to bring this up because the thing is that this is straight bullshit. And so you heard what he said. And a lot of the evaluations that I do, let me pull up his actual ethos on this. Let me stop the screen because I was looking at this. I almost said yesterday. And I was like, I remember John saying some crazy stuff about his theory of psychology, right? And we just heard him say, in all of the evaluations I've conducted, but yet here we have Strive Psychology, which is his, which he was paid. I think I showed it yesterday that he was paid as DBA doing business as Strive Psychology in 2021 in the state of Utah. And what he says here is that, if you can, I'm going to read it for you. Why is the Strive Psychology assessment process different from other coaching services? Dr. Matthiasi is a clinical psychologist with a significant experience assessing high-risk felons who have no desire to be forthcoming. Grammar aside, his job was to determine the risks of community placements for the courts. That means he has developed expertise in providing personality assessments. Okay, personality assessments that dig deep into one's character and underlying personality dynamics. Most other coaching services, okay, first of all, you're selling coaching services and you're leading off with, felons. Most other coaching services use the Myers-Briggs or the DISC, I don't know what that is, to explore personality. But those instruments provide little meaningful information and can be administered by anyone without any experience or credentials. That's okay. I can also take an online IQ quiz. They are types of instruments that you would use for parlor game, but not to truly examine and explore your life in depth. We go beyond the ordinary and the superficial. We use a battery of empirically derived, okay? I'm going to need to see that because you said empirically derived. Show it. You need to eat your food. And meaningful personality assessment to reveal who you really are beneath all the superficial clutter and noise. Unless you dig beneath the surface, your personality, you will never figure out what is truly driving your behaviors in life. In other words, you will remain stuck on the surface and fail to achieve your highest potential and blah, 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 blah. So what I've learned from this, okay, you want to go in there? All right, we're going to let it roll because can you just please stand by and talk amongst yourselves, throw things in the chat. I've got to throw this cat in the closet. So I'll be right okay. She's in the closet. She might be jumping down in a minute. So I guess my point is here is that he is telling his audience one thing, that he has all of these instruments that he uses during all of his assessments. But then on his actual page, which is Strive Psychology, and this is available I mean, it's linked everywhere. Everyone's cited to it. All the creators out there. He's telling me, if I'm reading this, that that's bullshit. And oh, I've made it 22 minutes without swearing. Okay, great. So what I'm gathering from this is that he thinks that, you know, he cannot be contained by the strictures of actual regimented testing devices, and that they're parlor games. So, I mean, but he's developed some sort of empirical device. I don't know. What is it? A dowsing rod? What are we doing? Are we Scientologying this? What are we doing here? I mean, this makes me, ew. What do you guys think? What did HMS say? All of his theories come across like he's writing papers. Yes, for a college class, not even good. Like, not even good class, right? So again, it's just like, sir, it's not great. So let me take this down and we'll go back to this. Ugh, God. So bad. Keeps feeling like Friday. Share this. Okay. All right. You ready? Here we go.
Sometimes I'll sit with someone for hours and I'll feel lost. Even though I've read the case file and I've developed hypotheses before I walk into the prison or jail, a lot of times I'm still looking for that one ingredient that could make sense of everything. No doubt, I remember one of my forensic psychology professors used to say that the problem of crime gets to the root of the problem of human existence. And maybe end with a little bit of a story here about how when I was working at the VA hospital back in 2003, the SAR is to assess balance.
She's a forensic psychologist.
Okay, so hang on. We're going to go back. Did you hear that? He said that he worked
root of the problem of human existence.
Give me a break.
End with a little bit of a story here about how when I was working at the VA hospital back in 2003.
Okay, Okay. Again, yesterday we went through all this. There's no, maybe he was doing, I don't see where this exists. They had an outward sort of bound situation. That's, God. Yeah, he met Socrates. It's, yeah, in 2023. So I looked into, and I feel like I've done way too much on this person, but I couldn't find anything. And at that point, he was still shacked up with his supervisor, allegedly, in Nevada. Now, maybe he did an internship somewhere. I'm not saying he's totally lying, but I'm saying, what the hell? So, OMG. I hear a lot of people dismiss Myers-Briggs in IQ testing. I've been tested a number of times. Right. Has stayed the same. And the thing is, it's like, it's one thing to prefer something or not, but to say that structures or that tests that exist in the world in the field are parlor games. I mean, you want to talk about a messianic situation. He's basically saying this is not the psychology you were looking for with these tried and true or whatever methods. I have some as yet unnamed, he said, empirical testing. And I'm not seeing what the hell he's talking about. Yeah, same. After all this, yes. It's just, okay.
Is to assess balance.
Nope.
Forensic psychologist. I was a TV reporter. So I said, let me tell you about this triple homicide I'm covering.
A match made in heaven.
I can't believe they lying to Keith? Oh my God.
Yes.
Right, exactly.
So the pandemic hit. I had just retired from TV reporting to be with our son. Our son was a year.
Retired? All right.
But you can't take the journalist out of me.
Honey, sweetie pie, come in closer. You are what Dr. John would refer to in the UK as a TV presenter. Look, man, you can't take the journalist out of me. I don't know if there was one in you. That's my opinion.
So it was December 2019 when I saw the AP article about Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell. I knew it was going to be big. And I started.
See how happy she got? Knowing what we know now, right? Knowing what we know now about the way that the families feel. Oh, God. I mean, look, there's a time and place for, I mean, she was a reporter, right? She was a reporter. But like I said yesterday, any idiot can be an investigative whatever. But I mean, I don't see it. You don't need J school, but you need to do, well, whatever. I can't. Okay, that's a rabbit hole.
Asking him questions, because that's what I do. He's the forensic psychologist.
But is he? Because he's I guess you know what? I am the king. I'm the queen of Inwood. There, I declared it. I mean, I just declared it. So suck it. Suck it, weirdos. So, where is your training and your additional certifications? I mean, I'm wondering, like, did Lauren not look into this guy? Seriously, though. It's so weird to me. Again, lavender marriage? I don't know. Yes, docket decoder. Oh my God. Yes, all praise and glory to docket decoder. Because I have not looked into this as much as everybody else. So I'm kind of seeing all of this garbage anew. I mean, I've had my beefs with the way that they quote unquote reports things, but recognizing now what I know based on everything, it's hitting different.
I'm like, well, what about this? And what about this? And then we kept talking.
Since our first conversation and since we became serious, we had talked about starting a podcast, a true crime podcast, because that sort of combined our talents. And it was...
Oh, God. I mean... Okay.
It was something that we had dreamt about for a while.
What? Didn't you guys date like I mean, how... I hate it.
But when the pandemic hit and we went into quarantine, the jails and the prisons...
That's a lie. Sir, that's bullshit. We know that's bullshit. Look, you were... Okay, so here's the benefit of the doubt that I'm going to give this creature. Is that whoever was hiring him, whoever he was working for, cut bait and they were down to like a bare crew. Okay, that's my most charitable read. But the bottom line is mental health professionals in the capacity that he claims to have been operating under were absolutely either allowed into the prisons, and I referenced my friend Maggie yesterday who goes into the prison, or televisits. So save it. This origin story doesn't even add up. This origin story, no. Oh.
Shut down for me. So I had no work and I had nothing to do. So
okay, here's the thing. Go get a job. Go get a job. Oh my God, the entitlement. Because remember, yesterday, he said that his first job was in 2020. Sir, you were a grown-ass man. Now, maybe you meant in the industry. But holy shit. Oh my God.
We have this window to really do something unique.
See, this is why they're so goddamn mad. This is why they're all in and can't back down, is because they put all their chips on black. I see. Okay. I'm putting it together.
And so that's where we pulled our talents. And
enter Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell.
Oh, you lucky sons of bitches. Gross. I mean, have some decorum, right? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I keep slamming the table.
The story of the century for the time of the century.
Yes, being it.
You know, there's a line I like to throw out there to
Oh, I can't wait. Oh, I can't wait. What is it? What is that? Oh, I gotta show your comments on stage. I'm sorry. I keep forgetting to do that. I can't wait. What do you got to say?
And that is, a better understanding of crime is a better understanding of ourselves.
Okay. Well, you know what? There's a whole fucking theory on that. There's just, I mean, you know, if you want to look at it through the lens of, you know, restorative justice, or how do you want to look at it? Because your esoteric bullshit is gross. This, sir, that shirt with a straight bottom.
And I think by delving deeply into a case like this, I think we can really learn some lessons about ourselves.
No, we can't.
Typically,
okay, so here's what I would have learned. These two, right? I would have learned not to treat victims like shit. Right? That's what I would have learned because I have the ability to self-reflect. Maybe that's part of me being sober for 24 years. I try to keep my side of the street clean and I have to take account. But this shit is crazy to me. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, but I'm trying to keep it. I'm trying to keep it in myself in check here. And it's hard.
The victims I've worked with.
Name them. Don't name them. Because the victims you've worked with have all posted screeds. Colby Ryan. Shame on you. The victims you have worked with, sir, have come out and decried you and your wife's message. Oh, God, Krusha, thank you for being here because holy shit. So Krusha is saying that reminds me of finding who I think was superior to John at one of the schools he went to and surrounded so eerily similar catchphrase. He changed a couple of words and voila, right? Krusha is one of the what they're failing to realize is that the victims of violent crime, of whatever, it extends like a goddamn ocean from the people that were murdered through the family, and it never goes away. And the only reason I know that is because I've been trusted with stories in the past that this is with you and in you and of you. And you too should stop. Take a look around you and just stop. I don't know if I can't. Okay.
Before they're victims, they sort of have this orderly and, kind of nice view of the world. And then this random event happens and they begin.
Dr. John Matthiasi, licensed clinical and forensic psych.
No, he's okay. All right. Fox, where is this? Detroit, wherever. Okay. Denver. Do some background check, right? He's not all those things. He's a licensed psychologist. I mean, the other stuff, unless he produces that information, it's enough. You know what? Guess what, John? It's enough to just be a licensed psychologist. Okay. It's okay, bud.
Psychologist with more than 25 years experience.
No. God, how has this gone on this long?
And also part of a podcast that's called Host of Hidden True Crime. Let's bring him in right now for a little bit deeper dive into everything with this case and a little bit background. So thank you, Dr. John. You are on right here on Live Now from Fox.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate being here. Views. And, unfortunately, I've seen this story again and again, and I've worked with a lot of batterers, as they're called. I've worked with a lot of victims of domestic abuse. And, so I want to say that this is that narrative, sadly. And sometimes that story doesn't end well.
Okay. How's everybody holding up? Because this is rough. It's rough. And so I have one more, and then we'll move on to his absolute mutilation of UK law and not just the problem with it, but the problem that he keeps doing this. Let me pull up. Nope, that's not it. Sorry. Highly professional. Stop. So there's one more, and this was sent again. This was sent to me to sort of timeline the claims made about all the work experience, right? Hang on. But it's so, ugh. Where is it? Here we go. I'm still here. Hang on. Man, this guy. It's not. Why is it not showing me that video? Please stand by. Damn it. I don't know why it's not letting me bring up the other video. This is weird. I don't know if it's worth it, but let me try one more thing. I wonder if it's the wrong format. No? Oh, shit.
Because you work with criminals, you have for...
Okay. So I don't know why that's... I mean, it's saved to my desktop. Where's Grayson? I need her help. Just kidding. Maybe I need... I don't know what's going on, folks. I don't know why it's not letting me bring it up. That's very strange. Screen sharing was canceled. Make sure it's not cancel. John is a fabulist. Yes. You could hear it. Well, maybe I can just play the audio. You don't need to see their faces, do you? Okay, let's play this a little bit.
Because you work with criminals, you have for decades.
Oh, this is from, okay, so again, I said this was sent to me, but this is from Nancy Guthrie. It says, Nancy Guthrie viewers need to hear Marsha Norman's story. Okay.
And you also, well, let's get to it. You have worked with murderers, but with a lot of sex offenders as well. And I am just so grateful that you have prepared to help me and all of us here.
I'm sorry, what does a Nancy Guthrie case have to do with sexual assault? Am I missing? I might be missing something. Wow.
Understand exactly what happened in this horrible, horrible tragedy.
What? What am I missing?
Yeah,
Are they talking about the Ukraine? I don't know. It says Nancy Guthrie viewers need to hear Marsha Norman's story.
a really unusual crime with a lot of unusual features, and hopefully we'll start 2, which is actually available from his court records, from Jeffries' court records, and of course we obtained it. So I was able to look at his...
Excuse me? The fuck is he talking about? I need some help. What is he talking about? Does anybody know? It's so weird. Hang on.
The sexual evaluation. I've done hundreds of these over the years.
Sure.
Bulls here that are real red flags. And many of these are talked about in the psychosexual evaluation. I'll talk about a few of them.
So I need to know how this man obtained a case file. What the hell is this? Examines the case of Marcia Norman and her alleged something or other. I don't know what this is. Hang on. I've got to find out because it says, is he saying that he obtained a case file, an active case file from an alleged? I'm confused. All right, hang on a second. We got to look this shit up. Does anybody know about Marcia Norman? Let me see. Nail gun. Okay. Ugh, this is horrible. Okay. So detectives are investigating the death of a Washington state woman whose body was found. Okay. Discovered a letter, right? She was 82. A handyman was booked on charges of murder, kidnapping, and unlawful. Okay. Formally charged in Thurston County. Sheriff Derek Sanders. Let's see. Hang on. This is from 2025. Has this guy gone to trial? Because who's giving you the case file? Hang on a second. Okay, has he taken? Okay, trial. Oh, he pleads not guilty. Okay, so in May, trial is set for June. So maybe he, I don't know. I would have to find out. But this is crazy. Armed with a deadly weapon. Okay. I don't understand. So who gave them the case file? Thurston County prosecutor? I don't know. I'm just pulling this up. I have no idea what this is. Sure, but how did he get a person's case file? Oh, okay. I mean, allegedly, right? How the hell do we know? They were both elderly. Yep.
We have Jeffrey's psychosexual evaluation. We have a lot of information.
Why? Why though? Right? So when the hell was this? Is this going to jack up a case? No. No, but no, certainly not. And well, look, I can only speak to my experience. The question is, can anybody FOIA a case file? No, the answer is no. I mean, and again, the only experience I had in trying to get any information was for a mother trying to get information on her daughter's murder. And it was like pulling teeth to even get the autopsy report of her own daughter. So these people saying that I don't know. I mean, I don't know anything about the case. I don't know if it's over, but it's couched in the name. Can it be? It's couched in the Nancy Guthrie of it all. And I don't know if this person has been adjudicated yet. Does anybody know anything about this? Let me see. It depends on if a case is closed, certainly, but they're not going to hand out a psychosexual evaluation unredacted. They're just not. I mean, it would be, we can't even get, yeah, I mean, sure, but something like that, I would think would remain sealed, because if they have a psychosexual evaluation, there should be a presumption of some sort of, I don't know. I don't know. No, it's a bad one. It's like an 80-something-year-old woman was allegedly killed by this person with a nail gun. Sure. I guess my point though is, they did a video on it. Okay. I just don't know if he's been adjudicated yet. And so when he says I have the case file on all his stuff, I'm like, ah. So it may be nothing, but it surprises me, to say the least.
Disclosures you've made about your sexual history. When I worked with sex offenders in therapy groups,
Sure,
they were always required to do a sexual history polygraph so that we knew that
what? Okay, I don't know.
being honest about their sexual histories and they weren't trying to cover certain.
Okay, so polygraphs are bullshit. We know that, right? So it was a baseline. Oh God, the guy. Yeah, So anyone can FOIA, but the agency has a power to fill the request with or without all. Yeah, but this is what I'm saying is like, it seems to me that the psychosexual evaluation would be redacted unless you're a family member. I mean, I don't know what Washington's laws are, but man. And they're making it sound like it's very exclusive. So I just hope the man has been tried or has pled out or whatever. I mean, it's the polygraph, right? The bellwether. Yet the Myers-Briggs is a parlor game. I mean, this guy, right?
Things up. Many of these disclosures, by the way, are for me, and I've done hundreds of these. Many of these disclosures are quite disturbing to me. And if you're assessing risk for a sex offender, if I am, oftentimes to count that statistically, you need a conviction or you need a crime that's on the record. And here you don't have that. However,
what? Here he is.
However, in my case, I would look at something like that and I would be very concerned in terms of, I may not be able to use that in terms of statistical analyses or actuarial, risk assessment instruments.
Actuarial risk assessment. So are you his insurance? I mean, what is he talking about? Does anybody know this? What's going on here?
But I'll use it clinically.
Oh, okay. Well, sure. Why not? Yeah. Yeah, you can. You should FOIA. Absolutely. And you should also, I would FOIA all the communications between all the investigators and hidden true crime, but that's just me. This is so bizarre.
In other words, like when a forensic psychologist conducts a psychosexual evaluation.
So you're speaking in the second omniscient person observing an actual forensic psychologist with all this experience that you're claiming to have? The fuck is happening? Sorry, but what the hell is going on? Yeah, Lauren looks impressed, but I mean, all right, girl, get you some benzos. I mean,
not strictly based on actuarial risk assessment instrument.
What is happening? Is Dr. May here? What the hell's going on? This is so. I can't understand how this happens, but okay, whatever. I mean, I'm never going to get to the legal shit, and I don't even know if it matters, but my God.
Like the static 99R, which is what the evaluator here used.
Sure.
And some others.
Sure, the static 99R. I mean, I like to use the Velociraptor 2000. I mean, that's what I use because I believe the SR99 is pure hokum. It's a parlor trick. I mean, the thing, it doesn't even matter what you're saying, sir.
Instruments, by the way.
Ugh, the tongue. You're killing me.
There's always going to be, in almost every manual, risk assessment manual says that every instrument has to be used within the context of clinical judgment.
I know that you're trying
to
be reasonable. You're a licensed psychologist, but what I saw is just, a couch surfing psychologist.
What?
Our armchair psychologist was really upsetting.
For the groups I did with sex offenders, they'd always say, well, I didn't murder anyone. Right? They'd say, well, I wasn't violent. I didn't murder anyone. And I swear to God, they would say that all the time. At least I'm not a murderer. What they fail to recognize, obviously, and we talked about this in the groups, and other offenders talked about it with them in the groups, is that a sex crime is a violent crime. And in childhood adversity, they tend to experience more trauma. That makes sense.
Makes sense.
The definition of borderline
personality
disorder is based.
Okay. So maternal instinct. Okay. All right. Hang on. So Docket Decoder, right? Who we all love. Shout out to Docket Decoder. He left like a comment saying that he wants to review their review of maternal instinct. So please like and subscribe to Docket, because I can't wait. Because that man has the patience of a saint. So Dr. Yeah, I mean, what the hell is he? Is he his yeah. Dr. Matthiasi. I've never listened to HTC besides a few daily court updates, because I immediately said, this guy has no idea what he's doing. He was my biggest issue with the channel. Yeah. I mean, and you were here yesterday when it seems like he might have been doodly ding donging around with his supervisor, but that's just my read on the property docs. What do I know?
Instability.
Which is very sad.
It is sad. I agree. It is sad. I've worked with a number of borderline personality disorders, and it's that want to improve.
Yeah, they want to manage their lives.
They want to, and it's very hard to see them struggle to such a degree, because they really want to change, but it becomes very difficult to change. But the very, oh wow, that's a really unusual moment for me to observe, because I've done hundreds of forensic interviews, and never once have I started an interview with, I know this sounds silly. I think, well, let's back up.
Okay, back up. Okay, well,
but that was a cop, you dumbass. Oh my God.
Take it away.
So just to clarify about reunification camp, first of all, I've done a lot of family reunification.
Oh my God, he's done everything, you guys. Holy crap. I mean, I don't know. I just I mean, they're a beautiful couple, all right? Let's not congratulate. They found each other.
For adolescents and adults.
Oh, cock-a-doodly ding-dong. Wine and crime. Allegedly.
And never once have I made a referral to reunification camp.
Wait, what? Did he say reunification camp? What the fuck is he talking about? Because I found some data from the state of Nevada on how many children they were shipping to Utah. Hang on. Did I mishear that? I was not prepared. I was prepared for the legal part of this bullshit, but this is insane. What camp? Didn't he say reunification camp or some bullshit? Hang on. I gotta look at this now. Because I pulled some shit from this is a lot. This guy's a lot. It was data from the years that he had his little camp in, let me see. Here we go. So I have to check this out now. What is that? Right. Okay. It does sound icy, doesn't it? Fuck ice. So what this is just a screen grab of, hang on. Sorry. Too many things going on. Damn it. So this is just a screen grab from, and this is from the public website. Let me pull it up so I can read it. Eep. Let's Strive Psychology. We're not looking at that. So this is like, got to get to it. Damn it. I was not prepared. This is statistical data from the DOC in Nevada. And what this is telling me, and this you can look up again online. Okay. And this one, I pulled data from 2018. And it will tell you about, I got to pull down chat for a minute because I can't see what's going on here. What this is showing, again, all public information, is that in 2018, and you can look at all, you can go back and look at all these years, that from Nevada, the number of people, the number of children, right? So child age at discharge, see that? We got children as young as 10 and 9 years old being placed in other states. And Utah is one of the big ones. And, you know, there's some of there's one that there's Odyssey, which is interesting, Turning Point, Red Rock Canyon. Now, some of these will show up in the documentary about the troubled teen industry in Utah, but this makes me feel gross. So he established that reunification. So, but was that the reunification thing? Because that's not how I read what he was saying. He developed some sort of, I mean, I don't know, you could be right, but, he established that reunification program. So at FACT of Southern Nevada. Okay. But what does that mean? Right? Anyway, all right, let me put this back on. Because I don't know what's going on.
So, but it requires a court order.
They've even served their time or whatever, but they're there for therapy. They're still saying they didn't do it. And at the end, they admit it.
Come in, they all come in, not all, many sex offenders enter my groups in denial, complete denial. So they'll have this story about she had an infection, or I wasn't. You want to look at the specific allegations that Brindley's making when she's 7. You want to look at his responses during his interview. This is someone who, from my experience, and someone I've worked with a lot of sex offenders, hundreds.
We know.
These are elements. These are a sense of entitlement.
Yeah. Oh.
This sense of objectifying women.
What? Spotty, you got it.
The sense of being self-absorbed. In other words, being concerned about.
I mean, look. Narcissus.
Being self-serving, being concerned about his needs and not the child's.
Right.
So you were at a 9 to 12-year-old camp. Now, were you sent there? And I'm asking legitimately. Oh God. Okay. No, sorry. Should have read on that little. I had no degree or Oh no. So, so Dr. Matthiasi is saying I was at a 9 to 12-year-old camp, that little. I had no degree or training and was in charge of a lot. Many of the kiddos were obviously on the spectrum, but they were labeled as misbehaving for the court. Okay. Yeah. And, you know, we got to keep in mind too here that Dr. John thinks that autistic people are violent. So, yeah. Yeah. Wow. It's just unsettling as hell. Whew. So anyway, that he makes all these claims that he's done all these things. I don't know. How's everybody feeling? That was rough. Whew. Lauren is wearing, right? How'd she get into your mom? Did she break and enter? Did she do a B&E to get your mom's tablecloth? Okay. Where? Oh, you know what? Andy at andycopsa.com. Okay. Because holy shit. I did a whole thing on that last week sometime. And John's adventure camp or whatever the hell it was. I don't even know if it existed, but it was whatever. Andy at andycopsa.com. So what's next? Because I've got a real problem with those that the criminal legal system that puts children, especially children on the spectrum, into that position, into an environment that is not suited to them, and it's a sort of it's like a churn and burn situation where they just want to, get everybody out the door. It's just gross. So let's see. The thing that was actually pissing me off that I was going to talk about today, and I'll do, hang on a second. Let's see. What are you guys saying? I know it's always cheery around here. Always happy stuff going on. Programming. Yeah. Somebody said, as an autist, where are you at? Because I too am an autist. And I wasn't diagnosed until I was old, which explains a lot. Okay, so what I was pissed about was his take on the UK law, which is actually something I know a little bit about. Not a lot, but. And he was leveling. So we're switching gears. And Kelly Kell maliciously with intent sent me this, where he is banging on about Christina and everybody, Like nobody is spared. I have not seen this stupid, horrible interview or this reaction. It's like after the 9-hour live, they speak out, right? And they talk about the price of truth. You know what? Truth. You wouldn't know truth if it fell out of your face. Because what kind of claims they are making about not just Christina, but Ballet Flats and all of these people is beyond. It really is, because it's never been adjudicated. They provided no evidence. The court was not impressed with any of their bullshit. And so now Kelly Kell turned me on to the fact that he was like quoting from UK law, which is whatever. That's what I'm studying. Doesn't matter. Neither here nor there. It only matters to the degree that I kind of know something about, not a lot, but I do know something about it. I do know a little bit about how UK law works. And this guy gets it all wrong. And the problem to me is there's a couple things. Stop trying to use shit you don't understand. I don't understand it, and I know more than you do, fool. And don't do that, because you don't even know what you're talking about. You sound like an idiot, and you are disseminating false information about the law at all. So I'm going to play this, and it's rough, because what he is trying to do here. And I listened to it because I'm like, okay, let me just understand what we're dealing with here. He is saying in this that he is a big fan of criminal, they wanted to press criminal charges, right? They wanted to throw the book at Christina, even though most of their evidence would have been thrown out as hearsay. And we know that because we've read the documents. We've seen both sides of it. We've read the documents. We've read it. We've heard the tape. We've heard the court admonish Lauren for bringing this, basically saying, you know what, this is an uphill climb. And what Dr. John is saying here is that he knows a little something about UK law and stalking and FOUR. And I got to just play it because he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. I mean, give it a bing. Look, I am not a lawyer, not an expert, but here's what I do know is that the Legion, and there is Legion women's societies who have advocated for the 2019 Harassment and Stalking Act, and you are making a mockery of it by not even knowing it. It's disgusting. And it's wrong. What you're saying is wrong, sir. Because this is nuts. You're getting the law wrong. You're misstating it. You're conflating civil and criminal, and you're quoting guidance that's not even in the statute. I mean, and the thing is like, it's just outrageous on so many levels because it's so easy to find some of the just basics. And they must think they have no respect for their audience. Like, I don't think you people are stupid. I don't. But they think that everybody else is stupid. First, what I'm going to tell you is that UK law, and I'm sure people know, nobody needs to know this, it's based on the common law, right? We're a colony. They fucking brought some of that shit over here. But what Dr. John fails to realize is that as a common law country, and without a constitution, it takes a hell of a lot more than reading something off of a police station webpage. And a lot of like, they didn't even have a Supreme Court until 2008, right? They do not have the same kind of system. Truly. Also, did you know, Dr. John, that privacy wasn't even really a thing? It wasn't until recent history and the EU Charter of Fundamental Human Rights, which was subsequently after Brexit, was absorbed into the human rights law. So the thing is that you don't understand is everything about this particular law. And it's gross. And you're making a mockery of the women. I had a book of the women that fought to get this law. And I hate it. I hate it. And again, I am not an expert, but I can tell you one thing. I know a shitload more about the UK law than this idiot does. You know what? You all know more about UK law than this idiot does. It's disgusting.
UK. So in the UK, there's some local police agencies and social workers and people that kind of deal with stalking that often refer to what they call the big four. When I say the big four, I mean four as in capital F, capital O, capital U, capital R. And I know this is the UK and not here, but the big four stands for F.
Yeah, what was that one?
Fixated.
Fixated.
F means fixated. Fixated is this. So let's go through this. Is there fixation here? So yes, there is. There are social media accounts that specifically target you.
So what he's trying to do is argue that under UK law, which for FOUR is not the law. that friend is a handy acronym for nitwits. Okay? It's a handy acronym. Okay? For cops that don't know shit about shit, and to look out for signs of people who are actually being stalked. And also, while there is a stalking statute, what you're talking about is a criminal stalking statute, which you would lose, which is a higher standard of causation and intent. Civil stalking, on the other hand, would get complete. What you're talking about is a tort, idiot. And so you're trying to couch it in like you looked up stalking UK. I don't know why. I don't know why you did, but I get why you didn't go any deeper, because you don't want to know the actual law. You want to know shit that's catchy and easy to remember, right? FOUR, that's not the law. It's not. That is an acronym, okay? That's used to help guide people that are working in the communities to understand and keep their eyes peeled for possible instances of domestic violence and people that get stalked for real. Okay? And trying to convict Christina of stalking with an acronym from the United Kingdom. So are we talking Northern Ireland? Because they got a whole different set of laws. Did you know that? Did you know that Scotland's a different country? They got a whole, man, you got to take a whole other bunch of classes, right? So where exactly in the UK are you talking? England and Wales? Because listen, it depends on where you guys are. If you're in Northern Ireland, I don't know what to tell you. This fundamental misrepresentation and lack of intellectual interest, right? And the thing is that FOUR is a helpful tool for people that are in the community, but you're making it sound like it is the actual standard. You're an idiot, in my opinion. You're still going to have to reach those same hurdles. You're still going to have to go over those same hurdles in the UK. And I got to tell you something. Okay. The only people to bring a civil stalking injunction is a police department. So an SRO, or I'm sorry, a stalking injunction or a protective order must be filed with a local magistrate in the UK by a policeman. So you've got an extra hurdle, actually, if you think about it. So you would have to go in, and I would love it. I would love to see you two go into a UK police officer and say, look, we need a civil stalking injunction. First of all, they'd be like, come again now? You've got to what? You've got to stop. Okay, come on in. We take these things very seriously now that all these women out here in the world have been putting effort and time towards. So come on in. We take this seriously. They bring you in. You'd have to make your case to a cop who's not as stupid as the Henderson guy. And they're going to look at you and they're going to say, fuck off. They're going to laugh you out of the joint. Because what you have to show, look, your feelings may be hurt. Nobody's denying that. Obviously, y'all are snowflakes. But what this nincompoop fails to understand is many things. But if they wanted to do, they couldn't have gone in and filed in the UK. Now we're talking England and Wales because it's 4 different countries. Okay. But I'm pulling for Scotland to get their independence. Anyway, so I know technicalities, but you know, you're going to have to bring it. You're going to have to bring it. And it's a high bar. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, is he going to try to get an extradition hearing? This is some of the stupidest shit. So he's going to try to convict Christina on an acronym.
Part of the definition of stalking is there has to be some type of individual target. Guess what? Every one of these social media accounts is fixated on you. Fixation, yes.
Okay, so what are you going to do then, sir? Are you charging all of them? Are you fucking charging all of them then? Under an acronym that is not the statute, which I'm going to read from now. It's a lot of pages, sir. So I'm sure you probably didn't. And let's see. It's called the UK Public General Acts 2009. We're at C9, table of contents. Everybody can go to legislation.gov.uk/2019/9/contents. Now, I understand that you didn't want to look into this, and so you Googled something. Okay? Conflating. You still got to prove both, right? And it sounds so dumb, but you have to prove the intent and the causation. And if you're going to walk into this situation and say that all of this was orchestrated, this grand conspiracy, apparently, you're going to have to charge each of these women individually because you can't pull all this together. So go ahead, sir. So he's saying that Christina, clearly all of these were targeted at you. Here's the thing, dum-dum. None of them mention Lauren by name. Whereas, and I will remind everybody that Hidden True Crime and Lauren named everybody, first and last names, before she took it down and sanitized it, because maybe her brother Pace, when he wasn't out jerking, giving Dastin Dio a courtesy reach around, was like, hey, maybe don't use her name though, right? Maybe don't use her name. This is some of the most idiotic shit I've ever seen. And he gets away with it.
Oh. The O stands for obsessed.
Okay. Again, this is not the standard. I just want to make sure everybody understands that. So let's do this real quickly, because he's just an idiot. This is a statute. And again, the deep well of common law and case law that goes into each, like, it's not like the United States. It's just not. God. You must look at the totality of the case law, where the UK actually does pay attention to precedent, unlike the United States Supreme Court say. They hew very closely to precedent. And you're going to have to prove a lot of stuff. And you're going to have to go through the Alcock test to find out if you can actually bring a charge against Christina for your son's psychiatric damage, because that's what you're alleging. And there's a 3-part test. Did you know that under UK law, to determine if there's actual psychological harm in tort? I bet you didn't. Okay. There's also this other thing in UK law called the Brits don't have omissions are not typically chargeable. They don't have any duty to rescue. They don't have anything like that, but they do have special relationship categories. One of the special relationship categories is the parent-child relationship. It just is. And so if you're going to bring a criminal charge under a made-up whatever, you're actually going to have to hew to the law. And what that means is when you go and sit with your solicitor and you talk through all of this, they're probably going to say, you know what, you need to be careful about this part of it, because in the UK we have a duty to protect in certain situations. This is well-established in case law. It's the parent-child, it's the assumed responsibility. Let's say I'm watching somebody's kid, I assume voluntary assumption of responsibility. All of these things come into play. So, I would have to ask you, it would be my job to ask you, why, can you explain to me this part of it and why you believe your son needs to be a part of this? This is just fact. You're going to have to answer these questions. And so you're probably going to have to strike that. Grayson's not even going to get in the front door, because you can't let her go bring her separate action. Fine. You cannot pile this up. This could not have happened the way that you want it to happen in the UK. It couldn't have. First of all, because there's nothing that Christina or any of them did. Second of all, that's not the way that this works. No matter how much he wants to believe that he is right about everything and that they stand on business and that this is the cost of them being truthful. Okay. Prove it. You gotta prove it. And you're not bathing yourself in glory, sir, by quoting an acronym versus the Stalking Protection Act of 2019, which also has, and then you got to take, then I hate to even tell you this, then you got to go in and see what the Law Commission has to say about it, because, woo, they've got some input. It's a whole other thing. I don't like it. It's a lot. Okay? It's a lot. And so you're not going to be able, I mean, I don't even think that you could prove, I don't even think that they would meet the bar for psychological impact or psychological harm through the Alcock test, where you have to witness something firsthand that is so grave in nature that it has long lasting and diagnosable impact on you. So Alcock was based on witnessing an actual family member die. And the responsibility fell on the hospital to have kept the mother away from the scene. And there's a lot more to it, but this is the level that I'm talking about proving what psychological harm is. And that is a tort, right? But those same kinds of things come into play when you're looking at criminal law too. But the proof bar is so much higher. So much higher because it's beyond a reasonable doubt. I mean, that is actually a thing. And in civil, it's, you know, on the balance of probabilities, which is, I don't know what it's called here. I do know, but I can't remember. Balance of probabilities is like, if it's 51, whatever. But you still have to bring it and you still have to prove it. And you can't. And so I think that we can rule out, because here's what else I'm deconstructing from all of this is that, again, predicated on this UK law that you made up, that is not the stalking statute. So we don't have your son. I think that what would come into play is that you have a duty to protect, okay, both in criminal and in civil proceedings. Okay. So those two things are going to always be there. So that is going to, now it could vary, obviously. I'm not a goddamn lawyer, but I do know this part of it. Okay. And so we're going to rule your son out. Grayson, again, doesn't even get in the door because she has no connection to this whatsoever. That's another thing. There's like the remoteness test. It's like remoteness as in how far removed, like and this would have all happened here too, right? Because you can't just throw everything against the wall. Sure, you can do it in a temporary SRO because you, like the judge said, only need to present one side. So I think your son's out because that's on you. I'm sorry, but that kind of is the law. You know, you have a duty to protect your child. And I mean, you could try, but I don't think it's going to fly because I just don't. Again, not legal advice. So then we got Grayson again, get out of here. You and Dr. John, you're going to try to get some sort of weird thing with your blood pressure and all this other stuff. Here's the problem though. We were watching your wife's testimony to the camera, bawling in bed after the judge told her, you need to be careful about how we use the tools of the law because it sounds an awful lot like you're trying to curtail speech. That's also a factor here, by the way. Don't forget the speech part. So what she said in that, you know, whatever, her most vulnerable moment, whatever, in that bed, was that she was actually with Grayson when she was having these ideations. And what you put in your signed affidavit is that you were with her and you'll never forget that day. I could be wrong. Okay. But that's what I saw. Okay. So I'm going to say you're going to have a hell of a time showing that. Because if I'm if in defense of Christina or whoever you want to bring this against, let's just take it out of the personal. If I'm the person that you're accusing of all of this bullshit, I'm going to say to my lawyer, look, here's this video. Here's all this information that they put out here, all this conflicting information. Right? And we're going to bring that. We're going to show you. Did you say this? Which is true? Like, I want that for you. I want that for you guys. I want that truth journey for you. I don't know. So that brings us down to trying to, all right. So Lauren, right? So we have Lauren left. So let's just say Lauren is the last one standing that can bring a suit. First of all, you're not going to get criminal. I'm sorry, you're just not, because people that actually are criminally stalked, that's sister, this ain't it. This ain't it. There has to be a long-term pattern. And one of the most famous cases in proving, this was actually a landmark case in the UK, was our, so it's Regina, v. Ireland. Ireland's the last name. And what this was sort of a watershed moment in the law, because harassment, and actually it was an assault case. And so assault is you have to perceive immediate harm. So you don't touch anybody, right? That's the battery part, when you shove them down a flight of stairs or whatever you do. But the assault is having this reasonable fear. And again, I keep using that reasonable word, but it really is the benchmark. Okay. It really is the benchmark. And I'm sorry, you can't get around that. RV Ireland was about a woman who had been receiving, and this is a long time ago, receiving telephone calls. And it was one of those that, and reading old-timey UK cases is a hoot. But essentially, I picture it in my head when I was reading the actual case law, like I had to do for talking about the law. It read like a very scary ass novel, because what happened, this woman was getting phone calls, and they started out as hang-up calls, and this took place over a very long period of time. And so what the calls, then it was like the heavy breather, right? And then the rates of it started to tick up, and the extended periods of silence. And so the measure there was, and the Supreme Court, or I'm sorry, it was House of Lords then, House of Lords before 2008. The House of Lords had to make a decision as to if this could be considered assault, because assault, to fulfill that, you have to feel like the immediate threat of danger. And you typically think of it, this is the way that I thought of it, is that assault is what happens right when somebody pulls back their hand. You immediately have fear. Now, that's just an easy way for me to remember kind of how to think of it, because that perception of something that is immediate is the best way for me to think of it. So what the Crown had to show to the House, when they were talking about this to the House of Lords, is that what the defendant had shown with this pattern and practice of increasing regularity and periods of silence, that this woman began to fear for her safety and her life. And that took a very, very, very long time to prove. There were other things going on, but it took a significant amount of ingrained fear. Like that actually caused a reasonable person to perceive harm. If that were me, so you kind of have to look at it like, I'm looking at a TikTok of Christina, lip syncing, nobody likes me, everybody hates me, why don't I go eat worms? And as a reasonable person, I'm going to say, I'm not really scared by that. if somebody tells me that somebody's been calling and leaving breathing voicemails or, leaving, just breathless, whatever for a period of I'm going to say, yeah, that's scary as hell, right? Scary as hell is not the benchmark, but all of this is to say that all that case law is going to come into play here, right? So you got to bring all the history of the fucking law. And again, you're not even quoting shit. So the reasonableness standard is going to be applied, and it won't, none of this would move forward. It just wouldn't, but I digress. Hang on. Let's just see what else this idiot has to say.
Is there obsession here? There's 50 plus or more, way more if you count all the social media accounts.
100.
There's,
oh my God, it's like so bad that like I've never had to put up with public scrutiny before. Fuck off. And you hit the bricks.
there's over 100 posts that show no signs of stopping or abating.
Okay. So, but what are these posts though, sir? Point to the doll where these posts hurt you in the feels. Because again, we've had to, so what we're left with, this is where we're at. We've stricken all of your co-defendants or your co-claimants because Lauren's the only one that could even remotely conceivably in the wildest hypothetical law exam scenario. She's the only one that could, you got to come up with something for the law exam. So, all right, you're going to have to prove the yield causation, right? That whatever happened, whatever psychological damage, because that's all they're claiming here. They're not claiming any sort of monetary damage. I mean, they're saying that their business, but they would have to prove that with an actuarial table. But so you're going to have to prove causation, and that means that somebody else is going to have to do a evaluation on Lauren and see if, in fact, because that is actually the standard for psychological harm, is that it has to actually be a diagnosable and long-term mental illness that was brought on, and you have to show that causation. And I'm sorry, I'm not seeing any causation here, nor am I seeing any sort of evaluation done by an independent evaluator. Was she hurt? Sure. Yeah, your ex-friend, whatever. But you're not going to be able to prove that causation. And it's so, and then the other thing too, is you think about, so again, I'm like mentally going through the tort exam. But I'm struggling to come up with a scenario that would allow me to say in my exam, yes, she has a case here under blurgity blurg. Because there's no injury, like there's no physical injury, which is actionable per se. They're not alleging any of that. And again, so, you're going to have to prove that you have sustained psychiatric injury. I'm sorry, that's the law. Ooh, right? The other way that Brits like to think about it is in one of my favorite cases, and this is the shocks the conscience portion. Dr. Vonda, yay! So there's this old case called Wilkinson and Downton. And this case is one of my faves because it's so weird. And again, it's classic UK. And I'm talking again about England and Wales. But Wilkinson and Downton was a case of psychiatric harm. And this again gets into the reasonableness. I'm sorry, reasonableness is just chock-a-block throughout case law if you wanna, and jury direction and judicial basically bench cards on how they're to interpret shit. But anyway, so Wilkinson and Downton was at a pub it's actually where Queen Mary College is, but in London. So the lady was sitting there, and the owner of, so the case was brought by Mrs. Wilkinson, and Downton was the owner of the pub. Downton was an asshole, and he thought he'd play a funny joke on Mrs. Wilkinson and say, and I hope I got that right, and say, hey, guess what? Your husband was killed in a horrible accident. And there was history of beef here as well. Mrs. Wilkinson, actually loving her husband, as some of us do, fucking fell out. She was immediately sent somebody, and again, this is like old-timey times, and somebody had to go check, like, boop, go up north of London, hours and hours north to ensure he wasn't dead. She had suffered psychiatric harm that was diagnosed, and the defense was, I was just kidding though. Again, this is where the reasonableness standard comes into. Would a reasonable person be able to project that what they might say to somebody would cause them harm? In this case, it was really clear. The man said, your husband's dead. Haha, just kidding. So the elements were met. She had a psychological injury that was diagnosed, okay, check. The defense of, I was just joking. Now, you know what? There was a direct causation here, because you knew or should have known. You knew or should have known that what you said would cause the reasonable person to have a reaction like this. Maybe not exactly like this, but you weren't just It wasn't just a whoopsie doodle. It was foreseeable. This is something that was foreseeable. And so that's part of that case. And so, and the thing is like, again, and so they're trying to make all of this fucking fetch happen with an acronym that isn't even the statute. And it's like, but there's so many hurdles you got to get through. And so you see where I'm going with this, right? This is making sense, correct? Because actual stalking is enumerated in the statute, and it's exhaustive. But you're going to have to prove that there was actual fear. You just are. And I don't think you're going to get there, ladies. I'm just looking at this, and it's like he's making all of these things, like saying that she was obsessed. I mean, she was in the Bahamas. She was in Europe. Arm your audience with the right language and the right benchmark. So again, it's like FOUR is not the standard. It's just not. That's an acronym. And so when he's saying that she was obsessed and all these other things, they're creating a person. So they're bringing all of these things together. Remember, the court is going to sit back and look at, wait, you took out a cease and desist on this person and a cease and desist on this person? And then you did it. What? Huh? Seems like you were really, really, really trying to figure out how to stick somebody with this, because you stepped in it, lady. You screwed over by their own admission. Victims' families. Don't conflate stalking with what happened here. Take this shit down. I mean, take this shit down because ew. I'm sorry, I've been ignoring the chat. Let's see, I'm gonna go back up here. Hello, hello. Oh, Christina's here. Yay! As I live and breathe. More likely the UK would put a local child. Well, I mean, here's what I will say about UK and child welfare. Yeah, I mean, they would certainly have a home visit. And I'm not making that shit up. And I'm not talking specifically about whatever. Like, I'm not making a comment on their parenting. I'm really not. But it's just this, there is a thing where there is, you know, this duty of care. And that will come into effect. There's not so much here. I mean, people might scratch their heads and say, well, how did this happen? And people parent differently and whatever. But there is like an actual, I mean, all the cases I can think of right now where it's parent-child are, you know, unfortunately in like drug overdose cases where a parent was involved with taking drugs with their child, like it's terrible shit like that. So that's an extreme example, but the standard, but there is that duty, and especially to a minor child, well, only to a minor child, but you know, so all of those things, like that's not going to get the kind of scrutiny it would here in the United States courts, because we're just kind of like whatever, you know, kid schmids. What is doctor? Hello. What about the actuarial science? Gross. Hey, Free Ricky Bay. Maybe they were all together when the ideation. I don't want to yuck anybody's yum if they are having a threesome. Look. Yeah, I kind of agree. Fafuki mama. Yeah, I mean, it's there's just so much evidence out there, right? Christina. Yeah, so this is the, yes, it's at Ireland. So there's that judgment. There's also Director of Public Prosecution against the High Court of Wales. I mean, there's where you know, one of my favorite law lords, I know it's ridiculous, but they're law lords. Let me see if I can find it. Yep. Lord Bingham. I really like Lord Bingham. Criminal charges cannot be fairly judged. And this is an actual, let me see, the public prosecution. So this is in a stalking case. And it's between let's see actually what the title is. Lord Justice Thomas, okay. Director of Public Prosecutions against Margaret Baker. Okay. So, and that's from, where are we at? So this is law lord. So this is, yeah, England and Wales House of Lords Administrative Court. Okay. So this is an appeal. So it was an appeal. And they had to decide under the actually, I can put this, because these people are idiots, right? I mean, we don't want to see them anymore, do we? So this is Bailey, which is a public, it's really fun for nerds. England and Wales High Court Division, okay? And so, but it has databases from all England and Wales, some international shit, but you get the case law here. So the defendant here is Margaret Baker. And this is an appeal by case where decisions of the justices in the Tyndale Magistrates Court when they acquitted the respondent of offense under the sections 2(1) and 2 of the Protection from Harassment Act. So this is the very law that John is trying to suggest is FOUR. No. The offense of harassment created by the 1997 Act is in the following terms. Section 1(1). A person must not pursue a course of conduct, A, which amounts to harassment of another, and B, which he knows or ought to know amounts to harassment of the other. So that's a two-parter. That's an and. That's not an or. Section 2.1, a person who pursues, and this is abbreviated, okay? Section 2.1, a person who pursues a course of conduct in breach of Section 1 is guilty of an offense. Okay? A lot more to it than that, but we'll keep going. Two further relevant sections are Section 7.2. References to harassing a person include alarming the person or causing the person distress. This is kind of the shocks the conscience thing. And Section 7.3. A course of conduct must involve conduct on at least 2 occasions. Okay, right? So that's similar. So references harassing a person that include alarming the person or causing the person distress. And again, I don't know how you're going to get over the hurdle of not naming Lauren. You can say everybody was after you till the cows come home. That's not evidence. We read the responses from Mr. Dunkelberger, who chef's kiss to you, Mr. Dunkelberger, because you just slapped down every single thing that they were doing. It's immediately clear that the course of conduct said to be harassing and relied upon by the prosecution as contesting the particulars of the offense covered a period of about 2 years and 8 months. Okay. This is the kind of thing I'm talking about. Oh, shit. Hang on a second. Can you guys see this? Damn it. My God, what is wrong with me? Fuck. I did it again. I did this yesterday. Sorry. Sorry. So this is Bailey. Just ignore all of what I was just saying. So this is called, go back up here, Bailey, right? So B-A-I-L-I-I, and it's a free database. It's great. Anyway, sorry. So back on to the England and Wales, what is it? The administrative, the High Court Division. So laid out that this is the actual act. It's not F-O-U. You don't see any F-O-U-N-D in here. Right? Amounts to harassment of another. Knows or ought to know amounts to harassment. So there's that mens rea part. There's that intent part. Course of conduct. So the thing that I want to point out in this one, and this again is the reason I brought this up was that it was in the Law Commission's direction on how to think about these cases. So you have to go to the Law Commission. You got to see if there's any new updates. And again, if this is an actual practice, I don't know, but it sure as hell is when you're learning the law. You have to go and you have to go through all these resources. So this directed me to come over here and take a look at this, because this is establishing some guardrails, not necessarily precedents per se, but it's guardrails. So this was a period of 2 years and 8 months. Okay. I mean, the incidents, and this, now one thing I want to say about this case is that it's about statute of limitations, which is actually a thing. But the thing about case law like this is that it's like, okay, so it's about statute of limitations. So that's like that's the procedural stuff. But there's important things in here, like I alluded to with Lord Bingham, when he makes a statement lower down in this decision, is that although this is about a procedural decision made by a magistrate judge, it's also about establishing the facts of the particular case, but further refining the statute. So there's a lot more, at least from my experience thus far, there's a lot of crafting law that's done in the courtroom I mean, Parliament, sovereign, all that bullshit. But when these rulings make it to this point, and this is an administrative court, that's going to carry weight in how these things are read by the magistrates, which are the first instance case, or the first instance trial, where these things will be heard. So, you know, what we're looking at is an extreme situation, obviously, 2 years, 8 months. Now, these involved, and again, these are direct, and this is from the end, this is from the last date of contact. And this person had 6 months to file this. I don't know, whatever. But these were harassing telephone calls. These were things, and you can see that. It's like, you know, sent letters, sent mail, made telephone calls. That's not what we're talking about with this alleged stalking. It's not even stalking. With this ego deflation that these two are trying to deal with. So throughout the period covered, the charge, she received telephone calls, letters, harassing. Now that over 2 years and 8 months, yeah, I mean, sure, yes. Yeah, I'm going to say we're going to hear that. We'll hear all the evidence on this because that rises to the level of inquiry, right? I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so far behind in the chat. Coming at you live from the CCU. What the hell's that? Oh, what is that? I don't know what that is. Kelly Carroll. Oh God. Thank God you're back. And the thing is, it's like, wow, right? Oh, I'm so excited. Yay. Are you doing your law machine tomorrow? Or is it LSAT machine? You know, so anyway, going back to this is that this is actually breaking down an administrative decision from the high court on a stalking case that had to do with statute of limitations to bring a claim. But it does get into the nitty-gritty of what is and is not considered by the court to be considerable under the stalking statute, which again, John does not mention. He mentions FOUR, which is not a thing. That's again, acronym. It's an acronym to help dumb police officers recognize the possibility that a woman is in danger, basically. And this is actually all, it's called the Susie Lampa Trust. This is a big deal. This is about stalking in the law, in the criminal law. This is huge. And I would love to get their read because they're the ones that really went to bat for women who were actually harassed. Anyway, so it makes me so fucking mad. So see, there's different parameters for Scotland and all this other shit. Ireland, Northern Ireland, separate. John, it's separate for separate countries. So anyway, Crown Prosecution Service. So again, this is over a period. This is phone calls. This is phone calls, letters. At one point in this document, you know, and this is again an appeal, so you'd have to go back to the original case law. I was going to copy that and paste it, but it hits the highlights, and at one point, the woman is standing outside of her house. None of that happened. None of it. None of it happened to John and Lauren. Right? Oh no, what's going on, Quinn? What's wrong? No. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Mom had surgery. It went well. Admitted her because she's having some trouble coming all the way. Oh, okay. All right. Positive vibes. Positive vibes. I hope you can take some comfort in the fact that John's an asshole. So this, I think you can kind of see what rises to the level of what is the 1997 law for harassment, because you're not even going to get to stalking. I'm sorry, John. And you're not going to get to harassment either, because you see kind of the bar. And again, there's plenty of case law out there. Okay. Plenty. And this is just one of them. But Lord Bingham saith, citing 2 R.V. Swenyuk, 2002 Court of Appeal, R. 220. Okay, given the judgment of the court, criminal charges. Okay, because that's what these mother scratchers want. Criminal charges cannot be fairly judged in a factual vacuum. Factual vacuum. It's going to be hard to get away from this shit. In order to make a rational assessment of evidence directly related to a charge, it may often be necessary for a jury to receive evidence describing, perhaps in some detail, the context and circumstances in which the offenses are said to have been committed. This, as we understand, is the approach indicated by the court in Petman, May 2 of 1985. It's an unreported case, anyway, approved in situ in 1994, 98 Criminals Appeals at 65, and Fulcher in 1995. So on the basis of this, right? So what they're saying is what Lord Bingham is reaffirming is that in a criminal case, and again, that's what they want, right? That is what they want for Christina, our friend Christina, is to, it can't take place in a vacuum. It can't take place in a vacuum, and that's what they want. They want it to take place in a vacuum, and it just doesn't. It can't. It cannot. So that's when they're decrying, long crime and all this other shit. It's like, well, I'm sorry, but this is like public courts are public. I mean, sorry. It's a whole thing. Oh, sorry. So, I mean, I think you kind of smell what I'm stepping in, right? But here's the actual, that's not it. Here's the actual stalking provision from as it's updated in 2019. So again, available to anybody. And see, the reason why John rested on his laurels with FOUR is because it's a heck of a lot easier than having to go through all this, isn't it? So let's open the whole act, shall we? I mean, I'm not going to go through it, but there is no FOUR. Okay? There's not. I know what he's talking about. It's not that. It's not this. Damn it. Remove, add. It's not this. Okay? It's not. FOUR. Not a thing. So in order to understand something, Dr. John, and I'd like to, can I call you John? In order to understand law or anything, I mean, anything, let's be real. You got to read. You got to read above your pay grade sometimes. And I certainly have to, and I'm not great at it all the time. But you have to be able to go deeper. And what is deeper here is that there's actual chapter and verse. Okay? And it has a lot to do with risk. You don't get to make that assessment. You don't, even though you think that you're whatever you think you are. Okay. Again, here it is. You're going to have to present this through the police. I mean, you're going to find a cop in the area anyway. I mean, you see where I'm going with all of this. Okay. Then we have to go through the magistrate's order. Okay. And I don't even think that you would rise to the level of getting out the door with this, honestly, now that I'm looking at it. Magistrate could include prohibition or requirement in a stalking protection order only if satisfied that the prohibition or requirement is necessary to protect the other person from a risk associated with stalking. I don't know if that's going to do it, sirs. So, because again, the cop, so there's an order to these things. And I'm not an expert. I'm not a lawyer. Right? I'm just the world's oldest fucking law student. But there is an order, there is a process to these things. And to get what they got, a TRO, they would have had to have gone not to the court directly, they would have had to gone through a cop. Then the cop would have had to believe them and take it seriously and whatever. And go to magistrate's court. And then it would go through another level of scrutiny. And this is why I'm so pissed, is because do you know how long it took to get these reforms for women and for whoever who's actually stalked? And it was the women. It was women that did the work to get all of these things in place. And even this isn't sufficient in all cases of actual real harm. And to be so flippant and so sure of the accuracy or the truthiness of what you experienced. Take that shit down. Take it down. Any Australian guy, woo! One more year. Is Grayson called? Yes, that was Grayson. And put Grayson on hold. But, it's just Brad Pitt. I mean, it's just dumb. To our livelihood now, there's a whole other kettle of fish. And unfortunately, you're going to have to show even more. We have to be careful how we use the tools of the law. And please don't ever mention FOUR ever again, you dummy McDum-dum. And that's my opinion of you as a dummy McDum-dum for not looking at what the actual all I can take away from this is that y'all are fucking lazy. Y'all are fucking lazy. And vengeful. Again, get out. Take a vacation. Take a staycation. Do something fun. Go rent a Corvette. Put the roof down. Go drive to Mount Charleston where it's probably snowing. Go ride some horses. Whatever. Do it. Do something different. When we finally got the voicemail, I'm not sure what that is. Clinical science. So anyway, again, these people are exhausting. They need to be called out because their misinformation, again, is like a jet stream of bullshit. And the thing is that there's nothing threatening about anything that I'm saying. There's nothing that isn't available in the public record. The only thing that is, to me, up for question is credentials, training, proof. I am curious now about your, what was it called? The reconnection camps or whatever. I'm going to look into it, but that seems not great. And I hope Dr. Matthiasi got Andy at andycopsa.com, because those camps in Utah are, well, everywhere. But, you know, I know there was just last month a big push at the state house to get those things closed down. Okay. So let me see what else you guys say, and then I'm going to go, as the kids would say. Right. Love her Beth. Or is all the people who call me now about a loan? Huh? I don't know what that is. Loans. Reunification camp. I care about all of this because free toots. Oh, you guys want to see her? Should we go see idea boobies? No, poopy butt. Don't say anything about my goddamn closet though. Okay. Free toots. I don't know if you can see her. Oh my God, we don't have a light in here. Oh, there she is. Look at Baby. Look at Baba. Wait, where's your little face? Hey, where's your little face? Let me do this. Hang on. Remove. Okay. Can you see her? Toots. You can't see. Damn it. Oh, I thought we had a light. The light burn out. Toodles. You mommy's girl. Can you see her little ears? Damn it. I'm sorry. I was going to see if I couldn't find a light, but anyway, so I don't know. Actually, maybe she needs a little light like this. Let's do this. That's a toot toot. It's a tiny toot toot light. Again, please. I don't want to hear anything about my closet. Oh. Where is she? Where are you at? Can you see her? I can't even see her. Where are you, boob? Where do you go? Oh, she's turned her back. Okay, well, I'm going to turn your light off then. Okay. Anyway, as always, everything has fallen apart. And so that means that it's time for me to go lay down. But anyway, like all of that stuff, all that creamy, steamy bullshit, and keep cool, check on your elderly neighbors, all of those things. And yeah, I don't know when, I don't know if I can take much more of this. I mean, I gotta get back to Trisha, right? I mean, they're all in it to win it. You have a hermit crab? Oh. Yes, my toots. Oh, my baby. She's my little baby. She's been outside today and it was hotter than a blowtorch. I am, yes. I love her bad puns. Hilarious. I realized yesterday I am the elderly neighbor. Looking around, I'm like, wait a minute. You might have a point. I'm like, oh, shit. That's hilarious. The missing years. Yes. That's going to be my unauthorized biopic of them. But anyway, I know we've got the 4th and people are off and stuff. And I hope everyone's safe. Don't, reconsider fireworks for our furry friends. Some of our dog friends have, problems. So, but anyway, I don't know what else to say, except none of this is meant to be any kind of advice. It's all my opinion. And I was not prepared for those first 2 videos. So that really threw me off. And as a result, this, like every other live stream I do, turned into an absolute shit show. But we do what we can. We do what we can. So everybody, please have a safe, safe weekend. And maybe I'll be back. Maybe I won't. But,